On this reading corner, we talk about the art of having meetings where you stop talking. So in this article, Erik talks about want to lead more effective meetings, we need to stop talking. As a leader, it's hard not to take control of every meeting and conversation. Here are 3 things you can do to let your team take the spotlight. So this is really for leaders, not always being the first person and the person that controls every meeting. Let's take a look. Recently, Erik talks about how he's had important work meetings with a couple of dozen people on the call. The meeting's been tricky. The team has spent hours on the content, honing it in. And here's where it gets really interesting. That was the important meeting. You hardly said a word the entire time was feedback that was given. And that's where the realization kicked in. That was a huge source of pride for me. That's what's described here. And the reason for that is because we don't always have to be talking. As leaders, it's not our job to talk the whole time. We should encourage others on our team to take the lead, empower them. So here are some of the steps that he talks about. Number 1, we focus on the preparation rather than on the meeting itself. If you discuss things with your team before, you can have the opportunity to have your team members take the lead rather than you jumping in. The second thing here, play a game with yourself. Can you get to the outcome you desire with the minimum amount of focus on you? That's you as the leader. How can you elevate teammates and subordinates so that they are the point people? Saying the words and taking the credit for the outcomes. Here's number 3, love this one. Silence is golden. Resist the urge to show everyone else how smart you are by jumping in and knowing the answer. See if you can find ways to nudge others to come around to your point of view themselves rather than trying to overpower their perspective, which tends to only create resistance anyway. And especially when you're on a meeting, you're on a clock, people are trying to get their point across. And because there's a fraction of a delay between you talking and another person talking, sometimes we may be talking over each other. And so it's better that we pause. So those are the 3 primary tips. And the result is that you're going to have a much more efficient process, but even more importantly, you empower and develop your team so that they build the muscle of ownership and accountability. By subordinating your ego, you'll set a powerful example for others to focus on what the company needs and not your own sense of self-importance. Let's make sure if we're leaders in a meeting, we don't have to do all the talking. This is advice to myself first.